What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Going the Distance podcast presented by ImmaculateSports.com. Twitter's at ImacSports.
Instagram is also at ImacSports.
TikTok, YouTube, Immaculate Sports. It's episode 196 and another pretty crazy weekend of sports. We got a whole lot to talk about. Not only did the NBA Finals have two games that we need to talk about, college World Series. We're now going to Omaha, talk about those teams. A lot of baseball, too. Doing some hypothetical Hall of Fame talk again, right, Kyle?
Yeah, we were just talking prior to press record that it's good to do this every year or so, where we kind of just get a gauge on how the HOF is feeling, because a lot of things can change within a year, whether it's injuries, whether it's a big season, whether it's a combination of both. Ronald Acuna, but that's kind of where we're at right now. So getting a test or, feel the weather there. Talk about an all-star ballot, because all-star voting opened up last week for the MLB. So we'll do an all-star ballot for that. But with that being said, we got to get into the opener. And my opener is Clemson versus Florida, game 2 in the Super Regional this past weekend. So here to set the scene a little bit. It's a best-of-3 series. Clemson is the home team. They lose game 1 to Florida, who's just big underdog, but not that crazy big underdog because they were really good last year. Just lost a few players going into this year. Regardless, Florida wins game 1 in Clemson. It's not like they switched sites and go play in Florida now. They still play at Clemson, but Florida is the home team now for this game. And that's where we start off that game. Jack Caglione is on the bump for Florida. He doesn't have the greatest start. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts. But it gets active early. It's 3-3 at the end of 3. I believe it's 6-9 going into the 9th inning. With Florida winning, feels pretty good for them until Cam Canarella stepped up for Clemson and hit a 3-run jack to tie it, making it 9-9. Save Clemson's season there. Then that goes to the bottom half of the inning. Seems like it's pretty good spot for Florida to score. Runners on first and second. Deep fly ball to center field. Canarella is playing center field for Clemson. He runs straight back, just kind of sticks his glove up out of nowhere, makes the catch, and simultaneously runs into the wall at the same time. They have no warning track at Clemson, which is kind of crazy, but makes one of the most insane catches that you'll ever see. Ends up going to the 13th inning. Tied at 9 still at this point. Clemson hits a home run in the top of the inning to go up. It's a no-doubt shot. Somehow, the Clemson's manager and one of their coaches get ejected from this dude hitting a home run because he went so crazy and they were all talking shit, whatnot. It's a very testy game like most of these college games are. So that sets up the bottom of the 13th inning. Clemson up 1, 10-9. And that made it so that Michael Robertson hit a double into the gap for Florida. 2 runs scored, walk-off winner there. Completely crazy. Dude ended up with his shirt off. Caglione is getting a whole bunch of hugs throughout. So Florida heads to the College Baseball World Series. Clemson heads home in one of the most crazy games I've ever watched in my life.
Yeah, right on with that one. I got to catch the last couple innings, and it was sick. Also, shout out, you picked Florida to go to Omaha. That's a great pick right there, because even though they've been really exciting all season, to win in Clemson's ridiculous. But all right, we'll get to mine. I forgot to type it down in here, I guess. I've had a crazy couple of days, but how about Christian McCaffrey getting on the Madden cover? Madden is a really interesting game, and who knows what's going to happen after the college football game comes out. But I think they really got this one right. I think that the cover actually is a big part of what people think about the game, and there's no need to throw a quarterback who doesn't deserve it. Not like Brock Purdy doesn't deserve it, but if it was him over McCaffrey, I think there would be a way bigger uproar. And McCaffrey has been one of the most valuable players in football.
Yeah, it was weird in the cover, too. He's running past Raider players.
I didn't catch that.
And so what's going on there? Regardless, I guess we made the cover a little bit there. Anyways, moving on to our player of the week, pitcher of the week, and rookie of the week, as we always do. Together, who is your player of the week?
Yeah, Teoscar's going to get this one over Aaron Judge this week. I think I've known for a couple days now. I've been going with Teoscar. That grand slam against the Yankees was epic, but he really dominated them the entire weekend. Hit 429, 4 homers, 10 ribbies, and even though the Dodgers went 3-3 last week, that's a pretty big tone-setting series win against the Yankees.
Yeah, Aaron Judge did have the higher OPS, but I'm going to Oscar Hernandez as well too because he had the bigger moments. That grand slam, like you said, a home run earlier in that game, then a home run on Sunday as well too. 4 homers total on the week, 10 RBIs, OPS over 1,600. Sorry, Aaron Judge, you got last week, and
Yeah.
you're probably going to get a ton more the way that you're hitting. Teoscar Hernandez deserves this one. Pitcher of the week.
I am going to give it to Kevin Gausman for his complete game shutty over the Ace, unfortunately. You know, some people may say, oh, it's just the Ace, no big deal. But hey, this is a scrappy Ace team that doesn't like to get shut out this year. It's not like he just shut out the White Sox like everyone has done this year. Anyways, I picked Gausman to win the Cy Young because we all know he could do this, 10 Ks every 5 days. But our shout out goes to Scooball, who has been doing that 10 Ks every outing. Unfortunately for him, Gausman gets pitcher of the week.
Yeah, I went with Gausman as well here pretty easily. I think in today's age, whenever you throw CG Shutty, like you gotta get the player of the week, especially if no one else, did something to that extent. But the 5 hits allowed, no runs, of course, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts for Gausman. Really good. He was dominating the A's that entire day. As watching that game, he's getting quick outs, and when the outs weren't quick, it was a strikeout, so it worked out well for him. On to rookie of the week.
I'm very happy to give this one to Joey Estes of the A's. Flirted with perfection with the first place Mariners into the 7th inning. Also pitched last night in San Diego, got the loss, but held his own against Dylan Cease. So I think that's enough. It's an honorable mention to Yamamoto, though, for shutting down the Yankees in the Bronx. That's pretty epic, but I had to go with the A, right?
Yeah, I wanted to go Estes so bad, but I think Yamamoto going into the Bronx and throwing 7 shut was pretty dominant. So I'm going to go with Yoshinobu here. The 7 innings, pitched 2 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts. You could tell he was just amped up for that game. They were the whole time on the Apple TV broadcast. They were just talking about his velocity being up this game, and for good reason. I mean, this guy was pumped up to pitch in this game. It's your first time pitching in the Bronx, especially someone from overseas, where you see the Yankees play on TV all the time, but you never been there. You never gotten to play there. Now he gets to play there, and he, dominated in his first start there, which is really cool to see. Moving on, we are talking about our Hall of Fame cases, going team by team for all the different 30 teams in the league and looking at which guys will be in the Hall of Fame, which guys might not make it, and which guys have no chance. Anyways, we'll start with the AL East with the Baltimore Orioles. Skyler, who do you have here?
All right. So I have a couple different categories. I just wanted to be careful to make sure I'm not saying this guy's going to get into the Hall, but we should watch out. So I would put them in right now. They're on pace. They're going to be on the ballot. And then, other young guys to watch out for. So Baltimore, I think Craig Kimbrell should get in. I would put him in. He's got a ridiculous amount of saves. We'll talk about another guy who did a very similar thing across the same time period. And I'm sure we will agree on that eventually. On pace, I have Corbin Burns, just hitting 30. A lot of time to grow still because he's been an ace his entire career, basically, even though he had a late start. And then the young guys, Henderson, Rushman, if they can win big together, some memorable moments, they could get in for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I have Kimbrel at the good chance, 432 saves, 2.1 or 2.41 ERA, 9-time All-Star, 2018 World Series champ, and 5 top 10 Cy Young finishes from relievers. Pretty damn good. I think he gets in. Corbin Burns, I said a shot. He's got ridiculously good after turning 25. Just before 25 is kind of the make or break thing, unfortunately, when it comes to the Hall of Fame. Regardless, he's got 52 wins, a 3.13 ERA, 952 strikeouts, a Cy Young, and 3 All-Star appearances already. On pace for his 4th, probably going to win another Cy Young. I think he's a guy who probably ends up getting in. Young but have a chance is my next category. Gunnar Henderson, 22 years old, already 11.8 WAR, 53 homers, 855 OPS, rookie of the year and a Silver Slugger. gotta imagine he'll win some rings too, and has an MVP in his career with how good he is. I say he gets in, and just prefacing right now, I'm not saying for everybody they're going to get in. I just think these three guys, we started off with a pretty damn good team, and then the last one's Atlee. It's 26. I think the thing against him too is kind of wasn't a 22-year-old when he came up, but then again, if it was like the baseball Hall of Fame, not the MLB Hall of Fame, it caught counter that college performance that he's had, but that's not what they're going to do. I think he needs the requirements to come down, and I have requirements in quotes there because there isn't
play until you're 40.
Exactly. There isn't like a concrete requirement, but we've always kind of seen, you have to get these certain amount of hits. You have to have this certain amount of blah, blah, blah to get in. And I think Atlee's going to come just short, but I think with how the game changes and how the Hall of Fame should change over the years of guys just not playing as much, I think he's the guy that does end up getting in. Because if Gunner's winning rings, I'd imagine Atlee does as well too. On to the Red Sox.
All right. Boston. I unfortunately did this in standings order. I know we always do division, but my head just wasn't on straight these past couple days for these notes. But there they are. Boston. The guy we were just talking about, Craig Kimbrell, his buddy Jansen. I have will get in. Very similar amount of saves, and that's just not it. A lot of really big moments in his career. And the other guy, Devers, I have him on pace. It's kind of similar to Bogart's, his former teammate, where they start off really young. They have a ton of counting stats already. You just got to keep it going for as long as you can, man.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same page. I say if Kimbrel gets in, Kenley's right there and with him. 429 saves, 2.52 ERA, four-time All-Star, 2020 World Series, and two-time reliever of the year. On the right track, you said on pace, kind of synonymous terms there. Rafi Devers, he's only 27, already has a 20.7 WAR, 185 homers is pretty ridiculous at that career mark. 281 batting average, 858 OPS, two-time All-Star, the 2018 World Series champ, which I think will help him, and a two-time Silver Slugger. I say he gets in. And then one guy I do want to point out, I don't think he gets in, but I think there's, an alternate reality somewhere that Tristan Casas has a ridiculous career and has, like 8 to 10 straight, 40 homer type seasons. Right now he's only 24 and has 35 homers. So if he does stay healthy, he could be a guy that gets like 400-ish. Obviously that's, way off in the distance. I say he doesn't make it, but just saying he's a guy who's not off to a terrible start.
He's on the watch list.
Yeah, next list is going to be a little while. It's the New York Yankees, Skyler. Who do you have here?
Yeah, I think Judge and Cole would get in today, even with Cole not having as many innings as some other guys. We'll get into some of those guys, especially Jacob deGrom when his name pops up. But I really think those two have enough accolades to do it. On pace, of course, is Juan Soto, right? Just a ridiculous start to a career, and he's only 25 years old. Just completely nuts. Guys who will be on the ballot, we talk about them every year. I remember our argument last year, Chase Utley, David Wright, what's the deal with them? Those guys I think are going to be Giancarlo Stanton and Marcus Stroman. Two excellent careers, but probably won't get in. And I feel like we have to mention Luis Eel. It's all about starting off with some kind of historical achievement, right, to get into the Hall of Fame. And, he's already got, 11 wins as a rookie? That's a pretty nutty start right there.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about 7 guys here. First of which is the get to 500 homers, please category. First off is Giancarlo Stanton. He's already 34, 44.1 WAR in his career, 417 homers, 1,500 hits, over 1,000 RBIs, OPS at 873. He's got an MVP, 5-time All-Star, and 2 Silver Sluggers to his name. If you get 500 homers and you didn't do PEDs, you get into the Hall of Fame.
Sure.
With 417 homers and how his contract is, I think there's a good chance that he, at least plays to the point where he's going to have the ability to. And how he hits, he's probably going to get 30 or 40 this year, which would probably get him right to around 440. Split that next up into 3 years. I think he could average 20 a year for three more after this. So I say he gets in. Next is Aaron Judge, who's very unique on a Hall of Fame career because he didn't come up as early as most of these other guys did. He's 32 years old, but he has a 46.3 WAR, 281 homers, 919 hits, 631 RBIs, an OBP at 399, OPS 994, Rookie of the Year MVP, 5-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger, and a 62 home run season. He's going to get in because he is going to get to 500 homers if he stays healthy. Should get there is the next category with Garrett Cole. As long as he comes back and isn't completely cripple, I think he's going to be just fine. He's only 33 and has a 41.3 WAR. He's got a Cy Young, 6 All-Stars, and 2 ERA titles to his name. I think he gets to 50 WAR and he'll be fine. So I say he gets in. Next one, Juan Soto. We don't even need to go over the stats. He's 25 and already feels like a first ballot Hall of Famer, so he's getting in. Next category I have is had better odds 8 years ago, and that's Anthony Rizzo. Started off really, really well. I think if you look at his career prior to 2017, I want to say the year is, you're like, holy shit, like this guy's 26, 27 years old, has a World Series, 3-time All-Star, has all these great seasons. And he's kind of just gone downhill since then. Regardless, he's got 39 WAR, 1,600 hits, 300 homers. Just hasn't really tacked on anything else since that 2017 season. So I say he does not get in. Counting stats merchant is the next category, and that's Gleyber Torres. He's only 27. He came up when he was 21. 14 and a half WAR isn't the greatest, but he already has 776 hits with 128 homers, 2-time All-Star. If you get to like 300 homers, 1,500 hits as a second baseman, I think he comes up. But I don't think he gets in. And the last category I have is the young shortstop for the Yankees. It's just Anthony Volpe. He just turned 23. He's a great fielder. He's got pop. He's got the ability to steal bases. If the Yankees go on a championship run, he will get in. And I think at some point during his career, he will get in. So I think Volpe, Cole, Judge, Stanton, and Soto from the Yankees.
All right.
Next up is the Bay Rays.
Tampa Bay, yeah, that's an awkward one. They at one point had a guy who was right on pace, but unfortunately, we're only going to talk about one guy who's going to get on the ballot but not in. That's Randy Arozarena, and that's for his World Baseball Classic and playoff historics. Unfortunately, those usually aren't the first things you turn to on a fringe guy. It's the counting stats, so that's probably going to leave him just outside of the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, there's a couple people I do want to talk about for the Rays, none of which I think get in. First is the keep hitting homers category, and that's Isaac Paredes. He's only 25 and has 63 homers in his career. The WAR is never going to be anything that gets there, but if you hit 400 homers in your career, you never know. So just keep hitting. I don't think he gets in. Next up I have is the would need major Hall of Fame reform, and that's Shane McClanahan, where he's only 27 years old, has 33 wins and 2 All-Stars under his name. We know he's really good. And I think that the talent isn't an issue. It's just if he can stay healthy and if the Hall of Fame is going to adjust at all from needing, say 200 wins to actually get in. And a very unique category for the last guy on the Rays is would have had a chance if he didn't date a 15-year-old, and that's Wander Franco.
Yeah.
He's 23 and had 11 and a half WAR already in his career, 30 homers, 40 stolen bases, and an All-Star appearance. He was like as good as a start as you could have and decided to fuck it up. So
debuted on my birthday.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something you should be happy about anymore, but I do remember his debut. That was one of the most hyped up debuts that we've had within the last 5 to 10 years. Next up is the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I probably would have been a little happier about these guys a couple years ago, but hey, Vlad Jr. is still on pace, right? He had one pretty rough season, but it looks like he's right back on track. Maybe needs a new home at some point. It's not really clicking, but hey, at least he's playing in the field more, because we all know if you're a DH, you got to hit a bunch of home runs. And one more guy to mention, I didn't put Bo Bichette on the list. Maybe he's a guy who can play for 20 years and eventually get there, but the other guy is Joey Votto on the ballot. Again, it's tough at first base. He has an MVP. He's been a legend amongst the baseball community for everything he does on and off the field, but I think he's maybe a 9-10 year guy, just misses out.
I want to start with Votto. I would put him on right away. He I saw an interesting case on him. I think it's actually like a TikTok like a week ago, and it was if it wasn't about batting average and it was about on base percentage, he'd be in just like that because he's a 399 guy OBP. Like his stats are ridiculous. There, he's got like 65 WAR in his career. He's got an MVP. He's got everything that you need in a Hall of Fame career. I just think the move into this like generation of the Hall of Fame is pretty weird for those guys that kind of played all throughout the 2010s.
We're seeing it with Todd Helton.
Yeah, so I think if he doesn't get it, I'd be pissed because I really do think he deserves it. But moving on to the guys that are actually on the Blue Jays team, not just on the 40-man roster, I'll start with the good start category. It's Vladdy Jr. and Bo Bichette. With Vladdy, he's only 25, 17 WAR, 779 hits, 137 homers, 840 OPS, three-time All-Star, a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, and an All-Star Game MVP. I think he gets in. I really don't think this, Vladdy slump type message agenda isn't going to last for too long. I think he's going to go somewhere and just completely pop, whether that's Seattle or one of these other places that have been rumored to get him. I think once he gets his spot and doesn't have that like loomingness over him, he's going to be just fine. Another guy I think has a good chance is Bo, 26 years old, 17.6 WAR, 711 hits, 93 homers, 293 batting average, two-time All-Star. I think he falls short. I think the career at the end won't be anything that's like, oh, wow, he won a couple rings and, had all these all-star appearances. I think he's only going to end with 4 to 5 all-stars. And I think that's just going to be a little bit too short with him. And I think he just gets probably just below 2,000 hits as well, too. I do want to give a shout-out to 3 guys that are going to be short, but had really damn good careers. And I thought it was pretty interesting looking at all their WAR on the Blue Jays. The first of which is Kevin Kiermaier. He's 34 years old, has a 36 career WAR, 4-time Gold Glover, and is a Platinum Glover. Great career. Just couldn't hit the ball for shit. If he could hit, he probably would be a Hall of Famer, which is pretty crazy to think about. Next of which is Justin Turner, who's 39. Also has a WAR in the 36s at 36.6, over 1,500 hits. Might get to 200 homers as he's at 191. 2-time All-Star and a 2020 World Series champ. And the last guy is George Springer, 34 years old, has the exact same WAR as Justin Turner at 36.6, 2,500 hits. Or not 2,500, holy crap. 1,200 hits, 247 homers, 4-time All-Star, 2017 World Series champ. We don't know how that's really going to get graded yet, and he was the MVP of that World Series, so means even more to him. 2-time Silver Slugger. Just came up a little bit too late and cheated a little bit too much to get into the Hall of Fame, in my opinion. So those are the 3 guys, though, that notable careers I think kind of can surprise some people.
Sure.
On to the White Sox.
No one.
Yeah. Guardians.
Cleveland. This is an interesting one. So obviously J-Ram's going to be on the list, right? I do have him on the on pace mark, not the I'll put him in right now, just because I think I know, and I think we all know how it's going to play out. We just want to make sure he gets there. It's really hard to be consistent for 20 years. He's already got 12 really consistent seasons. I guess I want to see him get there first. And then we'll be on the ballot. I have Emmanuel Clase. He's going to get the save numbers that are going to put him in contention, but he probably won't get in.
Yeah. I have 3 guys I want to talk about. The first of which is the WAR god. It's J-Ram, Jose Ramirez, 31 years old, 48.2 WAR, close to 1,400 hits. You'll get that probably next week as he's 4 away. 234 homers, 212 stolen bases, 808 RBIs, 856 OPS, 5-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger. He's going to end with probably 60-plus WAR. I think he gets in. He's going to have 300 homers, 300 stolen bases, over 1,000 RBIs, close to 2,000 hits. He has a really, really impressive resume just because he's good at everything. The next category I have is lock if he stays healthy. And then I had wait a minute to end that. That's Emmanuel Clase. He's 26 years old, 8.9 WAR, 130 saves already, a 1.84 ERA, 2-time All-Star, reliever of the year, and the wait maybe because in 2020 he was suspended for PEDs, and nobody who's ever gotten suspended has made
Mhm.
it into the Hall of Fame. And so he is a hold your mark for a second there. Maybe it's not looked as crazy upon because he was so young and it was at the beginning of his career before he even was really that good, but you get convicted of that stuff, you never really get in. Last guy I have is the find a way to hit please category. That's Andres Jimenez. He's only 25 and has a 16 and a half WAR. Like that's pretty ridiculous for these guys. There's not many 25-year-olds in the game right now that have a WAR that high. He's got 420 hits, 78 stolen bases, an all-star, 2-time Gold Glover, and a Platinum Glove. The defense is there. It's going to keep boosting his WAR. If he finds a way to have be an 800 OPS guy and does that through the time that he's 35, he could get in. I say no. I think J-Ram's probably the only guy that ends up getting in from this. But Jimenez is a guy who's surprisingly more on pace than what I expected to see. Tigers.
All right. Did I put anyone on the Tigers? Where are you, Detroit? Yeah, there we go. I have Tarek Skubal on pace. When you're one of the best pitchers in the league and likely going to get a Cy Young this year, you're always going to have a chance. Just got to wait and see, right? Pitching injuries is a massive thing, especially with starting pitching. Probably won't happen, but I like what he's been doing for sure.
Yeah, I do have Tarek Skubal as a guy I want to talk about as well too. Only 27, likely heading for the Cy Young in 2024. We know nobody who's ever won the Cy Young 3 times hasn't gotten into the Hall of Fame. If you get to 3, you're getting in. He's a guy that's got the stuff to get 3 Cy Youngs. And I know that sounds crazy to say because he hasn't won one yet, but if he stays healthy, from 27 to 33, he will probably get 3 Cy Youngs. And so just because it's so far out, I say no. But he's definitely got to keep an eye on. And another guy I did want to mention is if they didn't get hurt early, would have been something fun to talk about right now, and that's Riley Green.
Mhm.
Had an injury that missed 60 games his rookie year, injury that missed 60 games the second year. He's been healthy so far, but he's only 23, 5.6 WAR, 27 homers, 261 hits. Like, he got some decent stats. If he becomes a superstar, he's going to have it going for him that he was in the league when he was 21. So I enjoy Riley Green. I just don't think he gets it. On to the Royals.
The Royals. How about we start with Salvador Perez here? I have him will get on the ballot, but the more I think about it, he might not be done yet. Honestly, he's having a ridiculous season. He's getting up there in age and hasn't really dropped off offensively at all. A lot more power than the Posies, Molinas, and who just got in? Mauer, of course, but I just have a bad feeling about it, man. I don't know, but he's 100% getting on that ballot. The other guy, of course, is Bobby Witt Jr., the 5-tool master. He's in the watch list for sure.
Yeah, I have 2 categories. One is accolades help with Salvador Perez because he's an 8-time All-Star, 2015 World Series champ, 5-time Gold Glove, whether that was deserved or not. He got the award, 4-time All-Star, and a World Series MVP. I think the WAR is a bit low at 34.8. Obviously, he's got probably 3 or 4 years to really keep bumping that number up. But close to 1,500 hits. We'll probably get to 300 homers if he has another couple good seasons, maybe even 1,000 RBIs. I think as a catcher with those hitting numbers, he's got a pretty good chance to get in. I say he ends up doing it because he's going to end up being he's going to be an all-star this year. So probably end up maybe even getting 10, which will be, I believe, the second or third person active right now to get to that number. Next category I have is baby, and that's Bobby Witt Jr. He's 23 years old, turns 24 in 3 days. And he's on pace. If he is going to, stay healthy, he's going to get some MVPs in the future, hopefully multiple. And if he does, he's going to be a guy, came up early enough to get in and is good enough to get in. So I say that he does. He just got that Hall of Famer makeup to him. On to the Twins.
Minnesota, man. We would love to have Royce Lewis on here, of course. You may have a category, but the only notable guy here I have, Correa will get on the ballot. There's no way they put him in, though. He had another guy with a really young start, but it's just not going to happen. Injuries and controversy are never a good combination.
Yeah. I have three categories. The first of which is on 2017 Astros, and that's Carlos Correa, 29 years old, 42 and a .3 WAR is really, really good. Almost 1,100 hits. He's two away from that. 178 homers, so probably end up getting to like 300 homers in his career. He's got a Rookie of the Year, two-time All-Star, Gold Glove, Platinum Glove as well too. But he was on that 27 World Series team, and we don't know how that's going to be handled. I think he's the scapegoat of all that, though, and I say that he does not make the list. Next one, nice career shout out. Won't get in. Will be on the ballot at some point, but has no chance of getting in. Just wanted to shout him out. Carlos Santana, 38 years old, 36 career WAR, 1,700 hits, 300 homers, over 1,000 RBIs, an All-Star and a Silver Slugger. Good career for him. Just nowhere near Hall of Fame worthy. Just been in the league for a long time and has been pretty solid. Last category is titled God Hates You, and that's Byron Buxton. 30 years old, 21.8 WAR, man. He's got a WAR that's like almost half of Carlos Correa. That's pretty ridiculous. Regardless, 118 homers, 89 stolen bases, All-Star game, Gold Glove, Platinum Glove. He's in the Injury Hall of Fame, I'll tell you that. What could have been, man? What could have been? But he's definitely not getting in.
Yeah.
I think no one on this team gets in. On to the AL West. The Houston Astros to start off. Skyler, who you got?
Yeah, another team of controversy, but luckily for them, they have Justin Verlander, 100%, no doubt about it. Another guy at this point, I think Altuve is. I know he was on that 2017 Astros team, but he's gone on a couple playoff runs of his own. And honestly, I would put him in, even though I'm an A's fan and hate every one of those 2017 Astros. Think he deserves it, man. To do what he does at his size, never been done. He's part of the story of baseball, right? A couple more guys that are on pace. Tucker, Alvarez, mashed the crap out of the baseball. They definitely have a chance. And on the ballot, I have Alex Bregman and Josh Hader. When you're, at the top of your specialty for an entire career, you're going to get a shot. I just don't think it's going to be enough. I don't think Bregman and Hader are going to last that long. Hader already starting to struggle. It's a little surprising, but when you're one of the best lefties of your generation, you may get on the ballot.
Yeah. Started off first ballot, Verlander, 81.5 WAR, 260 wins, 3.25 ERA. I'll go over the resume and some of the accolades. MVP, 3-time Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, 9-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, 2-time ERA champ, and he's married to Kate Upton, so he's getting in easily. Next up is first ballot, but was on the 2017 Astros. That's Altuve, 34 years old, 51.5 WAR, 2,100 hits, 200 homers, 300 stolen bases, batting over 300. Has an MVP, 2-time World Series. I think that second World Series really helped him. 3-time batting champ, 8-time All-Star, 6-time Silver Slugger. I think Altuve gets in. Yeah. I want to say that he does, man. He's got the most impressive career out of anyone from that time that was on the Stros team. And
there's going to be one representative, right? That's a historic team.
I think he's getting in, man. He's had too good of a career. And it's just like all the stuff that's come out that said like, oh, well, he was the one guy who didn't use it and all that stuff, I think helps his case. Whether it's true or not, I do think he ends up getting into Cooperstown very contestedly, though. Next up, just an interesting guy. I have Josh Hader, 30 years old, 174 saves, 5-time All-Star, 3-time reliever of the year. I think helps him. Just he's probably not going to get to 400 saves in his career, and I think that's probably going to hurt him quite a bit. If he does get to 400, good for him. I think he gets in. I think he's going to be just short. So I just have Hader being on the ballot, just not getting in. Next up is we'll end with good stats. That's Alex Bregman, 30 years old, 36.5 WAR, over 1,000 hits, close to 200 homers, 851 career OPS, 2-time All-Star and 2-time World Series champ, as long as the Silver Slugger too. He doesn't get in, but I think he'll be on the ballot. And then lastly, I have well on track, and there's two guys on here. That's Kyle Tucker, who is ridiculously good at baseball, has over 100 homers, 22 WAR in his career, 93 stolen bases, 865 OPS. He's getting in, I think. Next up is Jordan Alvarez, younger than Kyle Tucker at 26, 20 and a half WAR as well, too. 586 hits, 141 of which are homers, and an OPS at 965. Not tarnished, just like Kyle Tucker from that 27 World Series team. We're only on that 22 team. Silver Slugger, two-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year. Jordan Alvarez does get in with his teammates Altuve, Justin Verlander, and Kyle Tucker.
Yeah, that's going to be Mike Trout. First ballot if he retires today.
Yeah. I have one category for the Angels, and it's just titled Mike Trout. The only guy in the Mike Trout category is Mike Trout, 32 years old, and already has the highest career WAR of any active player in the MLB at 86.2. He's got a chance to get to 100, which would be so fun to see if he stays healthy. Exactly. He's already got a career like better than Mickey Mantle, just without the rings and stuff. Crazy. Hasn't won a single playoff game in his career, but has 1,600 hits, 378 homers, 212 stolen bases, and 991 OPS with a 299 batting average in his career, 3-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 11-time All-Star, 9-time Silver Slugger. Dude, like, Mike Trout is...
He is Cooperstown.
Burst out. Yeah, he is. He's like Mr. Cooperstown at this point. We should just start calling him that. We should just put him in the Hall of Fame now. Moving on from the Angels, though, we got the A's.
Yeah, well, 2 years ago, we'd have nobody. So at least we can take a couple seconds to appreciate how great Mason Miller's first year and a half have been. I guess technically it's just 1 year service time at this point because he was injured. But, to have one of the most exciting closers in the league, of course, we're going to put him on the watch list.
I didn't put anybody on there. However, I did put a stadium on there, the Collie. Collie's got it somewhere in the Hall of Fame. There's going to be some piece of the Coliseum, whether that's a seat, whether that's, a dead possum or something like that. Something from the Coliseum's getting in there. We found what it is. Yeah. Next up, the Mariners.
Yeah, there's one big name, also with some controversy so far. Julio Rodriguez. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. But I know he's a really young, exciting player, so of course he's on pace.
Yeah, I said probably the only guy that has a chance is Julio. 23 years old, 12 and a half WAR, almost 400 hits, 65 homers, 76 stolen bases, a Rookie of the Year, 2-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger. I say he gets in. Thing is, he came up so young. He's going to be good. I know he hasn't had the greatest season so far, and I think it's a little bit of recency bias because he usually has these slow starts. Then has a month of July, August, September where he just goes nuclear. And his contract's through 2034. So he's going to be playing forever for Seattle. It's not like he can fizzle out. He is going to be on that team for a long time. So I do think he gets in. The other guy was pretty interesting. I don't think he does get in is George Kirby. I think if he has, continues this crazy walk rate thing where he's, listed with old Hoss Radburn and all these dudes from the 1800s that like owned slaves and stuff, like you gotta at least mention him at some point, right?
Sure, Mussina got in.
I just don't think he does get in. Something though from him will be in the Hall of Fame just because he's doing what he's doing. Next up, the Rangers.
Yeah, Texas also got themselves a first ballot Hall of Famer in Max Scherzer. Very similar numbers to our friend Verlander you just talked about. And in fact, teammates a couple times. Also, I think at this point, Corey Seager with the second, almost at finals MVP. I've been doing a lot of basketball watching recently, but World Series MVP, he's going to get in. I moved Simeon over to the on pace just because, and again, it may be a recency bias thing. I don't like seeing the slow start because he's Mr. Consistency. That's what's going to get him into the Hall of Fame. So if he's actually declining this badly after 30, maybe not. And then the last guy we got to talk about is Jacob deGrom. Unfortunately, I say he gets on the ballot and just misses. No, we're going to talk about Chris Sale a little later. I compared them, and Chris Sale's got about 6 entire years of innings to him, and they're the same age. It's just going to be really tough.
Yeah, let me just start with this. I have a category titled First Ballot Hall of Fame Pitchers That Have Not Played for Them in 2024. It's not weird that I have this category. It's just weird that I have 2 people in it on the same team. The first of which is Max Scherzer, who's 39 years old, 75 WAR. First ballot, without a doubt, 214 wins. 3,367 strikeouts in his career is ridiculous.
The most in a game.
3 times Cy Young, 8-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ. He will get in without a doubt. And I think because of how good deGrom was, I think he gets in without having a crazy WAR. Hopefully he gets to, like 55 or 50 at least. He's at 44.8 right now as a 35-year-old. He's got a contract for a couple more years. 84 wins isn't the greatest. 2.53 ERA, though, is 1,600 strikeouts, 2-time Cy Young Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star. I think there was, I forget where I saw this, but I remember seeing it a long time ago. It's like how they grade who to put in the Hall of Fame. It's like durability, consistency, and how good your peak was, I want to say. And his peak is as good as anybody ever, as Bob Gibson, as Pedro Martinez. And I think because of that, he's going to get in. I think he gets in quite easily.
That'd be sick.
Like, without counting, that sucks. I hate that it has to be a question because Jacob deGrom is good enough to be there. Next up is On the Path. That's Corey Seager, 30 years old, 34.3 WAR, over 1,000 hits, close to 200 homers, 871 career OPS, 2-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, 3-time Silver Slugger, Rookie of the Year. And the thing that gets him in is a 2-time World Series MVP. You knew that. You become a legend in the playoffs like he's become. You're going to get into the Hall of Fame as long as you have a solid MLB career, and he's better than solid. He's going to be a guy that gets to 50-plus WAR most likely, and I think that's going to be enough for him to get in as a shortstop. Next category is maybe, question mark. That's Marcus Semien, 33 WAR, 44 and a half, or not 33 WAR, 33 years old, 44 and a half career WAR, 1,400 hits, 226 homers, 700 RBIs, 122 stolen bases, 2-time All-Star, Gold Glove, 2-time Silver Slugger, and now finally a World Series champ as well too. He's got a chance to get to 2,000 hits, man. He's got a chance to get to 300 homers, a chance to get to 1,000 RBIs, 150 stolen bases. Now is a second baseman as well too. Let him in.
Yeah.
Like, why not? Like, he's had a great career. Hopefully he finds a way to get some more All-Star appearances in there, not just the 2. Being a World Series champ, I think, helps his ton as well, too, even if he didn't have the greatest World Series. I biasly say that he gets in, the 4th player from that team that does. Next category is very young, is Evan Carter, 21 years old, already a World Series champion. I think it's way too early to say that he would be, but if you're going to start your career off with something, start it off the way that Evan Carter did. And then last category won't get in, but it's titled Hall of Fame of Middle Relievers, and that's David Robertson for his 819-game career as a 39-year-old, 20.5 WAR as a reliever is ridiculous. He's an all-star. He was on the 2009 Yankees World Series team, 176 saves. Not getting in, but still ridiculous.
I wouldn't be surprised if he made the ballot.
Yeah, no, I think he probably will. He'll be guys like, oh yeah,
forgot about him.
5% or 2% or something like that. But he's had a great career for sure. On to the NL, starting off with the Braves.
All right. I mentioned him just a minute ago. I say Chris Sale does get in. Like I said, I measured him up with Jacob deGrom. They came in the same year, and Sale has just completely destroyed him in the counting stats. Also, playoffs, Chris Sale has a ridiculous playoff run and a World Series ring. I think that's enough for me. On pace, I have 2 guys. Again, Acuna maybe is on the other side of the ball here if he doesn't get massively injured twice now, but that's just going to be a really tough hill to climb. Obviously, awesome start to his career. And then Max Fried, when you're the ace of a team that is this good, anything's possible, right? I'm going to keep my eye on him. Two young stars, Michael Harris, Spencer Strider. Let's see if they can get a rhythm going. Strider obviously is out right now, which really sucks because I want to see him turn into the next Verlander, but we're going to have to wait.
Yeah, there is a lot of guys to talk about here.
First, yeah, I know. I'm skipping over Riley and Murphy and Austin, but, they're obviously awesome players too.
Yeah. I'll start off with best chance on the team. I think that's Acuna Jr., 26 years old, 26 WAR, 165 homers, 815 hits, 289 batting average, 900 OPS, and 196 stolen bases. We'll see how much he steals after coming back from the second ACL. But he does have the MVP, Rookie of the Year, 4-time All-Star, 3-time Silver Slugger. I think he comes back from this and still has a good career. I think tearing your ACL twice, like, as weird as it is to say, I don't think it's going to hurt his case as much because I think it's going to help his story. And I think coming back from that injury twice, especially if he continues to be this MVP type player, will put him very much easily into the category of a Hall of Famer. Next up is Have a Chance. This is the biggest category of the entire night, so stay with me here. Matt Olson, 30 years old, 30 WAR, 239 homers, 865 OPS, Gold Glover, and a 2-time All-Star. 400 homers to 500 homers, you never know what happens. Does he get 500? Probably not. But if you're on a 450, OPS 870 or something like that, I think you are definitely on the ballot and get some votes. I don't think he gets in, though. Next up is Ozzie Albies, who's 27 years old, 20.8 WAR, 899 hits, so more than Olsen, 135 homers, 80 stolen bases, 3-time All-Star, World Series champion in 21, and a 2-time Silver Slugger. With him being 27 and being a second baseman, a damn good chance to get to 200 he'll get to 200 homers, 300 homers and 2,000 hits. I say Albies gets in. Next up, Riley, 27 years old, 18.5 WAR, 137 homers, World Series champ, 2-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, just like Albies. I don't think he gets in, but has a good career. Max Fried, 30 years old, 22.2 WAR, 68 wins compared to 28 losses, 3.02 ERA, 768 core Ks. I usually don't talk about wins ever, but I think for Hall of Fame, for some reason, it makes you want to go back and talk about that. His record's ridiculously good. So I think he has a chance to be one of those modern era pitchers that gets in. I just think he falls just short. Same thing with Spencer Strider. We'll see how he bounces back from Tommy John, but I think it's too early to say that he gets in. Next category I have is have another good 3 years and you're in easily, and that's Chris Sale, 35 years old, 49 WAR, 128 wins, 3.1 ERA, 2,200 strikeouts, about to get 2,300. 7-time All-Star and 2018 World Series champion. I think the only thing that hurts him in the case against DeGrom is the Cy Youngs. But like you said, the counting stats favor him completely by quite a wide margin. Chris Sale was also definitely good enough to win a Cy Young during that time period. It's just that other guys are a bit better. Last one, you mentioned him as well too, has the potential, just waiting on the prolonged breakout. That's Michael Harris. We've talked about this dude so many times on how good he can be, and it's just for some reason doesn't all come together to as often as what we would think. But regardless, he's 23 years old, a 9.4 WAR, 332 hits, 42 homers, 48 stolen bases, batting average 285. He's got a Rookie of the Year under his belt as well too. Just break out, man, and you never know what happens. I say he doesn't get in. So the final tally there: Sale, Albies, Acuna. On the Marlins.
Yeah. Sorry, Jazz. You're not getting in, bud.
So yeah.
Yeah.
I had two guys I want to talk about, and they're not Jazz Chisholm, either of them. First of which is Sandy Alcantara in the whole lot of innings department. 29 or 28 years old, won't pitch until he's 29, but has a 19.7 WAR, 41 wins only, 3.32 ERA, but 900 innings already. He's got a Cy Young and 2 All-Stars. I think if he gets like 2,000 innings or something like that, he can make it really, really interesting. Will he get to 2,000? Probably not. Uh, I don't think he's going to have that prolonged goodness period ever, too, besides that Cy Young to get in. I say just fall short, but, get some votes on the ballot. And then lastly, for the Marlins, in the stay healthy, please, God category in all caps, it's Yuri Perez. He just turned 21 in April, has a 2.5 WAR in his rookie season last year, 5 wins, 3.15 ERA, 108 strikeouts, and 91 in third innings. Even if he doesn't come back till next year, he will be 22 years old, have a 20-year-old rookie season under his belt, and if he turns in a good career, he's a guy, man. He's a guy that can really get some notice. I think it's asking for too much as a prediction to say that he gets in, so I say he's left off.
For me, the questionable pitchers, it's more of like a domino effect. I feel like if Cole Hamels gets in 5 years, then Strasburg will get in, then Sale will get it, and then it'll keep going down the list. And I don't know. I'm scared to put certain pitchers on the list.
Yeah, I get that. On to the Mets.
Metropolitans, a really down year, but there are a couple guys to mention because they're going to have a lot of counting stats. Lindor is officially moved off of the on pace and to the will get on the ballot list. He's a guy who, again, he started really young. He's going to have the counting stats. I feel like shortstop is a really particular position. And if they won that World Series ring, maybe things will be a little different. And I feel the same about Edwin Diaz. He's going to be up there in saves, but a lot of inconsistency too mixed in between. And maybe that playing for the Mets will leave a bad taste in the voters' mouth.
Yeah, there's 4 guys I want to talk about. First of which is Lindor. I think he's going to be a first ballot once the career is over. He's only 30, and he's got a 44.2 WAR. I think he gets up to 60 and probably, decently high into the 60s. 1,300 hits, almost 1,400. He should get to 2,000 hits. 225 homers. He's going to get to 300 homers. Has a chance to get to like 350-ish, I'd say, by career end. 165 stolen bases. He should get to 200 pretty easily. OPS over 800. 4-time All-Star. Has a couple Gold Gloves to go with it. A Platinum Glove and a couple Silver Sluggers as well, too. I think if you look at the full product of his career when it's all said and done, say, damn, this guy really had a Hall of Fame worthy career from start to finish. He was one of the best shortstops in baseball for a good 5-year period. He was on that level as recent as last year as well, too. 30-30 season was pretty good. I think that's something to put on the resume as well, too. Not a lot of guys did that while playing good defense. And I think he does get in pretty easily. Next up is Edwin Diaz. Kind of like the same as Hader here a little bit, except for Hader was more consistent. 30 years old, 210 saves, 687 strikeouts, 2-time reliever of the year, 2-time All-Star. I think the short would be my best guess. Next up has to turn it up. That's Pete Alonso. 206 homers. Just because you're 29 isn't going to get you there. You got to get to like 500 if you want a chance, and that's the only way he's getting in. I say no. And then last guy, pretty cool career. I have him in 2,400 category because he might get there. That's JD Martinez. 1,700 hits, 320 homers, 36 years old. I think he's got a career spot where he can play until he's 40 as well, too. He's not going to have to do much besides hit, and he can hit pretty damn well. I say no, that he doesn't get in. I think that's kind of the consensus there, but career worth mentioning. On to the Phillies.
The Phils, we actually have a couple guys to talk about here that are pretty good, but we'll start off with Bryce Harper. I think it's safe to say he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, and I think most of us felt that way when he was 19, honestly, and just a ridiculous story of a career, right? To go from JUCO to Washington to being, just crazy. Even what he did this weekend, right? I mean, who else has celebrated a homer like that in a different country? Just awesome. Just straight up awesome. All right, I'll stop talking about Bryce Harper. We'll get on to the guys who will get on the ballot. And again, maybe things change if they win a couple rings. But right now I have Trey Turner, Zach Wheeler, and Austin Nola just missing out. Wheeler started a little late. Nola's not a number one, and Trey Turner can be a little streaky.
Yeah. I'll start off with Bryce Harper, first ballot Hall of Famer without a doubt. 31 years old, 48 and a half career WAR, close to 1,600 hits, has 321 homers. He should get to 500 pretty easily there. 934 RBIs, 136 stolen bases, OPS over 900, two-time MVP, seven-time All-Star, three-time Silver Slugger. Like you said, but didn't say it in this word.
Yeah.
The greatest showman that's the perfect nickname for him. He's the guy who will always perform at the biggest level. He's always going to do as much as he can for the game as he possibly can. And I think that's exactly what the voters want. So I think he'll get in there. Weird first ballot one here, but I have Trey Turner. And I know the WAR doesn't really show it's great. He's 30 years old and only has a 35 WAR. Not only, but in Hall of Fame case only. 1,250 hits, 150 homers, 270 stolen bases, batting average just below 300, 2019 World Series champ, batting title, couple All-Stars. If he wasn't signed through 2033, I would say that he's not a first ballot. But with how long that contract is, he's going to get to 2,000. He's going to get to probably 300 homers. He's probably going to get to 400, 500 stolen bases. That's a pretty damn good career. He's got the ability to play multiple positions as well, too. I think it's in. And then two guys I didn't talk about at all, Nola and Zach Wheeler. I think Nola not as good throughout his entire career, and Wheeler just a little bit too late is the biggest thing for him. Out of the Nationals.
Yeah, I thought about a couple of honorable mentions, but I'm just not going to jinx it because I think we both think they're onto something. It's just they don't have the stars yet, unfortunately. I don't think Abrams is.
Yeah. I don't have anyone on the Nationals. I don't think there's anybody quite worthy of that. Hopefully James Wood, but he's not in the league yet. On to the Cubs.
The Cubbies. Let's see here. Yeah, actually don't have anyone there. Remind me, because I may have just skipped over them really quickly today.
Only guy I have was the would have felt really good about it 5 years ago category, and that's Cody Bellinger. 28 years old, 23.1 WAR, 865 hits, 186 homers, 85 stolen bases, MVP Rookie of the Year, 2020 World Series, Gold Glove, All-Star, Silver Slugger, has all those categories. I don't think he's going to be worthy once it's at the end, but
yeah.
I mean, if we're saying this 5 years ago, we would have said first ballot. You know, like this guy's got the career to do it. He's had probably the biggest fall off that you can have for a guy, and he's been good for the last year and a half too. So you never know. I just don't feel that good about it. On to the Reds.
Cincinnati, I just have one guy on the watch list. Ellie De La Cruz could break literally any record possible in the book. He just needs to be consistent, just like all the other young guys.
Yeah. For the Reds, I have a couple categories here. Stats are going to be crazy. It's Ellie De La Cruz, 22 years old, only 2.9 WAR, but 24 homers, 69 stolen bases. I think his stats are going to be so ridiculous, regardless if he's an MVP guy or not. I say that he does get in, and I don't want to be like, you should be saying he's Hall of Famer or nothing. But this guy, be 400 most likely. Like that doesn't happen. He's only 22 years old. Like
could have been Acuna, man.
He'll get in if he does that, and I think he will. Next up is Hunter Green. He's 24 years old and already has 400 strikeouts. That's the only thing I really have going for him because the ERA is not good. But if you get to like 2,000, 2,500 Ks, like you open up the conversation. I think he could be on the ballot. I just don't think he gets in.
Being a top pick helps probably.
Yeah. On to the Brewers.
All right. I did want to mention Christian Yelich. Let's see where I have him right now. I did move him over, not on pace anymore. Lot of injuries after the MVP, man, but it's a guy who will be on the ballot because he's been a part of some really ridiculous teams, from Miami to the wild card craziness in Milwaukee. He's a guy who I might vote for once he gets there.
When you're going to be a voter.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I'm not 80 and vote based on wins. So
Yeah. For Yelich, I have him in a category titled "Better Chance the Most Realized." I think after his drop off, around COVID time, I think people kind of just wrote him off. Now I think he's starting to ease himself back into that conversation because he's had some good years in a row. 32 years old, 41 WAR, 1,500 hits, 199 homers, 194 stolen bases, MVP, two-time All-Star, Gold Glove, three-time Silver Slugger, two-time batting champ. Like, it's going to be a great career when it's over. It's going to be over 50 WAR, probably close to 60 as well too, because he's signed for a long time. I say he gets in because he's going to be a guy who has a lot more hits than the guy he's up against on the ballot because he was around for so long and had so many opportunities in so many different spots. So I think he gets to probably close to 2,300 hits maybe, and I think that's going to be enough in today's age to get him in. Next guy I'm talking about is William Contreras. Not really much to say, but I do think being on that 21 World Series team was pretty big. And it's not like he wasn't a contributor. He was an all-star that year as well, too. So helps his stuff. And if he, finds a way to be a guy that wins 3 or 4 World Series in his career or something like that, I think he has a pretty good chance to get in because he's putting up some pretty good stats now. Surprisingly, here I have Willy Adames in the gonna get some votes category because he's only 28, has a WAR of 20, 710 hits, 128 homers, and he's a free agent this offseason. And I have a weird feeling he's going to be a guy that blossoms into one of the best shortstops in the league because he's always had that ability to. He's been good on defense, hits are power. He's just a little too streaky. And I think once he gets to another spot, gets paid, he's going to get a ton of confidence and just pop for whatever team he's on. Doesn't get in though. And then the last category I have is 20, and that's Jackson Chourio. He's been bad this year, but everything that he does this year and next year is just a head start on everybody that he'll be on. I don't think he gets in because I've never been a huge believer in Chourio, but worth noting, I'd say. I say Yelich is the only one that gets in.
All right.
On the Pirates.
There's 2 guys who I would definitely put in. I just don't really know if it's going to happen. That's Aroldis Chapman, probably the best lefty of our generation, and Andrew McCutchen, one of the best center fielders of our generation. Those 2 guys have played for a long time. I'm worried about that peak 7 that we talked about last year. I'm worried about off the field for Chapman, and I'm worried about basically not being a 3-hitter for the last 10 years for McCutchen, like we thought he would be. And then I'll shout out Paul Skeens, of course. He's off to an amazing start. He's on the watch list.
Yeah. I have a few guys to talk about. Cutchin first in the Hall of Greats. 37 years old, 49 WAR, over 2,000 hits, over 300 homers, over 1,000 RBIs, over 200 stolen bases, has an MVP, All-Stars, Gold Gloves, Silver Sluggers. Just not going to be enough at the end of the day, unfortunately, especially with the position that he's in, being a DH the past few years. Like, he would have had to have a bit more homers. I have too big of a fall off for Aroldis Chapman, and I don't think he ends up getting in. Unfortunately, he's 36 years old, 322 saves. I know he's a lefty, and that kind of boosts up his stuff, but I do think he falls just short. And then the 2 guys to mention, category of 22-year-old starting pitchers, Jared Jones,
Of course, Jared
Paul
Jones,
Skeens, fuck. Do I say it? I'm going to say it. Jared Jones, Paul Skeens, both Hall of Famers. They've got, dude, they just have if something happens where they just go on a run these next 6 years, it'd be cool if Pittsburgh signs both of them long term. But if they have both of those dudes 1-2 for the next 6 years, oh my God, dude, that's gonna be something that goes down in history. So I think that I said that they do both get in. Very bold. Very bold.
Yeah.
On to the Cardinals.
Well, we talked about Goldschmidt a lot ever since we started this podcast. I think we're both on the same page. He's in. Maybe not a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he's in. Arenado will be in. He's the best defensive third baseman of the past however many years. And another guy you can't really tell the story of the 2010s without Arenado, I think, especially playing that defense with a couple 40-homer seasons. It just hasn't been very great recently for him, but I don't want to take that away from him. And I guess you could shout out Contreras, right? If he can come back from this ridiculous injury and just like Yachty and go play another 15 years of crazy defense, win a couple rings, sure, it's possible. Same with his brother.
Yeah. For the Cardinals, I have a couple Hofs. Goldie, 62 WAR, MVP, close to 2,000 hits. Gonna probably get to close to 400 homers, 161 stolen bases, pretty underrated too. 899 OPS. Yeah. He's gonna get in. Nolan Arenado's the next one. 54.2 WAR, 1,700 hits, 330 homers. Does he get Coors? Probably not, because he was also the greatest fielder besides Andrelton Simmons in our generation. 10-time Gold Glover, 6-time Platinum Glove, while being an 8-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger as well too. And then I have Hall of Great for Sonny Gray. 34 years old, 31 career WAR, 105 wins, 3-time All-Star, 2 top 3 Cy Young finishes 10 years apart, which is pretty crazy. You'll probably get to close to 40 WAR. Will be on the ballot. He's definitely not getting in, though. On to the NL West, starting off with the Diamondbacks.
I actually do like Ketel Marte's chances. Let's see. I keep losing track of where I am here. Okay, so I have him on the will get on the ballot because especially this recent playoff streak he had, those are the stuff that gets remembered right there. Obviously, a second baseman with playoff moments, that's massive. So Albies, I'll go back and add him to the same spot. It just might not be enough at the end of the day. And I don't know, man. I didn't put Corbin Carroll, but I guess he had such a great rookie year. We got to keep an eye on him.
Yeah. I have 3 guys to talk about. Hall of Great for Ketel Marte. I think he's 30, 28 WAR, over 1,000 hits, 120 homers, 800 OPS. He's never going to be like a 5-time All-Star or anything like that. He'll probably be 2 or 3, I want to say. Close to 40 WAR. Not going to get in, but definitely had a good career. I have a category voters will like. That's Zach Gallen. He's 28.
Yeah.
18 WAR, 789 strikeouts already, 3.2 ERA, All-Star as well too. I think he's one of those guys that's kind of an inning eater and would be appreciated by voters. And then the last guy I have, fix your shoulder, please, and that's Corbin Carroll. 23 years old, 31 homers, 67 stolen bases, rookie of the year, and All-Star. Healthy, man, or else he would be. As of right now, I'd say none of them get in, but on to the Rockies.
Yeah, I'm not even going to mention his name because it's not going to happen, but you might.
You talking about Chris Bryant?
No, I think we're past that point, unfortunately.
Okay. I have one guy I want to talk about. And this is going to be my most bold prediction. I said it last year as well, too, which is made it crazy, but it's getting less and less crazy as the days go by. And the category is he's out. How old? Question mark. Is he 25? No. Is he 24? No. Is he 23? No. Is he 22? Yes, he is 22, and that's Ezekiel Tovar.
That's the guy.
4.8 WAR, 232 hits, 26 homers, 103 RBIs, 15 stolen bases. He's a great defensive man. He's gonna get Gold Gloves. He's gonna be a guy who has 30 homer power per year. He's gonna steal probably 15 to 20 stolen bases a year as well too. He's 22, man. This is the most bold prediction I'll ever make on this. But I was saying it last year, and it's only gotten better. He's had an 800 OPS guy this year. I'm saying Ezekiel Tovar is going to be a Hall of Famer because he's going to have the counting stats going for him, and he's going to get paid a ton when he's a 27-year-old superstar.
Man, how quickly did we go from Blackman to Bryant to Tovar? Isn't that crazy? That was not a lot of time.
Yeah,
Blackman's Coors being in Colorado forever is not helping him, and he started off a little bit too late. And his career's had a weird arc where he was super speed heavy, not a lot of power, then became super power heavy, not a lot of speed, and so it kind of mushed his numbers together. I think Chris Bryant just sucked, so that didn't help him. What about the Dodgers, though?
Yeah, they got a couple contenders, I think. Let me check my notes real quick. Yeah, a couple first ballot guys here, and Kershaw, 100%. Freeman, 100%. Shohei Ohtani, 100% first ballot. These guys all changed the game in their own ways and have been ridiculous. Mookie Betts is on pace just because he's so much younger than the other guys. But another guy, I'd put him in right now for sure. Maybe some people want to see him play shortstop a little more, but I think he's proven enough there. I didn't put anyone in the young star, but I'll shout out Bobby Miller. Sure. So many strikeouts at that age. Anything's possible.
I think you're going to be shocked to hear what
Will Smith,
Mookie Betts' career war is when we get there. Let me just say the four guys that I have. First ballot, it's Kershaw, Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani. Also the numbers of the war, and I'll have you guess who it correlates to out of those four. So we have started from top to bottom, 79.7, 68.5, 58.3, and 37.6.
How does WAR work with two-way players? Because there's an outlier there. I'm going to guess that's Freeman, and we have Kershaw just above Mookie Betts.
So you say Freeman's at 37?
Yeah.
And then you have Kershaw right above Mookie Betts at...
And Ohtani right in the middle.
79. Okay. Kershaw's at 79.7. Ohtani's at 37.6. Freddie Freeman is at 58.3, and Mookie Betts has a 68.5 WAR.
That's outrageous.
He's 31.
Yeah.
Let me go into what I was originally going to say. Kershaw, first ballot, 36 years old, close to 80 WAR, should get there. 210 wins, 2.4 ERA, should get to 3,000 Ks as well, too. Has an MVP, 3 Cy Youngs, 10-time All-Star, World Series champ, Gold Glover, 5-time ERA title as well, too. Easily, 100% without a doubt. Mookie Betts, he's on that same pace, man. 31 years old and has a 68.5 WAR, 1,500 hits, 268 homers, 181 stolen bases, 295 batting average, 900 OPS, MVP, 7-time All-Star, 2-time World Series, 6-time Gold Glover, 6-time Silver Slugger, batting title. Whatever you want a baseball player to do, Mookie Betts will do it. If you want him to play shortstop, right field, whatever, like I think besides Trout and besides the pitchers that are 36 plus, he's the most clear guy in the league to get on there. And it's kind of crazy because it didn't happen out of nowhere, but it felt like it happened out of nowhere because it felt like we were always talking about Trout and Harper. Freddie Freeman, though, 34 years old, 38 or 58.5 WAR, 2,200 hits, 330 homers, 300 batting average, 900 OPS, MVP, Silver Slugger, all that stuff. 2021 World Series champ as well, too. I say he gets in. And then Ohtani. I think Ohtani could retire today and get in. I really don't care if it's, the 10-year requirement, whatever. Yeah. He's done enough. He's been 2-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 3-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and has also placed 4th in Cy Young voting, which is ridiculous to say. So Shohei Ohtani's in. Another guy to talk about, I guess, would be Jason Hayward. Has a sneaky 45 WAR career.
Yeah.
If he could hit, he would have been in, because if he was hitting, he would have been up to 60. But still one of the best defensive players that we've seen over the last 20, 30.
Sorry, Mookie. Don't take it personally. I was unaware of your WAR.
He's ridiculous, man. He's a WAR god. It's like
J-Ran and Mookie
bets are very similar because they are both really, really good, and they both don't do anything, I'd say, the best in the league, but they do everything great.
and they're small.
It's always fun. And they wear high socks. Next up is Padres.
San Diego, here we go. Manny Machado, another guy I think we're both on board with. The big change to the way people view him is a massive factor here, and I think he's done enough to clear his name in San Diego. He's going to have all the counting stats and gold gloves, platinum gloves. We have three other guys that will get on the ballot. A lot of controversy in their own way, because we'll start off with Fernando Tatis Jr. The PEDs, I don't think will ever be forgotten. I guess he's lucky he plays in a smaller market, right? Maybe he doesn't get bashed as much as usual. Xander Bogaerts at one point had the counting stats. Moving to second base hurts him, though. And Luis Arias. I don't really know what his potential can be. We haven't seen this in a long time, and maybe it just takes a certain number of hits and everyone is on board with him. I'm just not really sure where to put him right now. So I have him. We'll be on the ballot. Not sure if he gets in.
Yeah. Quite a few guys
Talk about for the Padres, actually. First ballot, Manny Machado, 31 years old, 55 WARs, 1,800 hits, 320 homers, close to 1,000 RBIs, 6-time All-Star, Gold Glover, Platinum Glove, Silver Slugger. Like,
he's going to be a guy
who gets to 60 and a half WAR. So
I say he gets in.
pretty easily. I'd say
Would
have been a first ballot if he didn't do PEDs is Tatis, and I know he's only 25, but his stats are ridiculous. Already a 21 WAR, has stayed relatively healthy except for that one season. Platinum Glover as well too this past year. I just think you got suspended for PEDs. We've never seen someone get in. I don't think Tatis is going to be the guy that breaks that barrier down. Borderline careers I have next is Xander Bogaerts, 31 years old. 39 and a half WAR, 1,600 hits, almost 200 homers, 4-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, and a 5-time Silver Slugger, and a contract through like 2033. Like, that's going to help him a ton as well too, because he's going to get to 2,000
hits. Yeah,
exactly, and he's going to get to probably 22 or 250 homers. Like, he's have a good career when it's all said and done. I just don't think it's going to be enough. Would be my guess. Yu Darvish is 37. Usually would be a stopping point right there because he doesn't have the greatest WAR at 32.1. But he's signed through 2028, so he's still going to pitch for another 4 more years at least. And he's already has 1,982 Ks and a 5-time All-Star.
he'll be on the ballot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
Like, if Yamamoto's career goes perfectly well, it's Yu Darvish's career because they both came over at 25.
got contracts at
The gate. Except for, Darvish kind of split his contracts up. But regardless, Darvish, great career. I just think he falls a bit short. And then the last category, modern day Tony Gwynn. Like you said, Luis Arias is just really hard to understand because he's not going to be a guy that has a crazy WAR, even though he has 16.2 already at 27 years old. 738 hits, 326 batting average, 2-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, 2-time batting champ. Probably going to get a 3rd time in that batting champ. Wouldn't be shocked if he gets like 5, to be honest with you. And I think if you have somebody that gets 5 batting titles, they're going to get in, man.
Look at Joe Mauer, right? He got in. I know he's a catcher, but it's very similar.
So he's very tough to break down because he does one thing well. But the thing that he does well, he's the best in the league at, and it's not even close. So it's really tough to grade.
what if it, like can you
Compare him to like an Andrelton Simmons in the way that he does the one thing well and does it as well as anyone that we've ever seen, but doesn't do anything well besides that. I don't know. He's a weird
Tough
comparison for anybody. So
I'd say yes though.
I do say he gets in because fuck it, why not? So Machado and Arias. And then on to the Giants. Last game.
Yeah, I want to mention a couple guys here. We'll start with Logan Webb. I think he's on pace. It's just like we've been talking about. These days, you gotta be an ace until you're 40, right? If you want to be in the Hall, and only a couple of guys can do that. Even the guys we mentioned here, they're all injured this season, all of them. So it's really hard to say. Doval's going to get on the ballot. I think it's very similar to Class A. We talked about this at the beginning of the year. Some of these closers have identical numbers who came into the league 5 years ago, and they're off to a great start. I didn't write down Chapman, but I guess he could get on the ballot if he doesn't get hurt anymore. Great start to his career.
Yeah.
Three guys I want to talk about, first of which is Blake Snell. 31 years old,
You're right,
20 and a half more. Yeah, like he has the highest K per nine of anyone ever. Like he's got the gold italics on Baseball Reference, and you don't see that unless you're the all-time leader. I think it's like 11.1 or 12.1 K per nine. Has 2,500 strikeouts. The title here I just had needs a third Cy Young, because if you get that third, you're in. And he's got two. If he gets that third, you got to feel like he's got a good chance to get in, even if he doesn't have the greatest WAR. Probably has a good chance to get to 2,000 strikeouts as well too, which is going to help his case a ton. Next category I have is old timer, and that's Logan Webb. Doesn't have any all-stars or anything like that under his belt, but he's 27 years old, 16 WAR, 737 innings pitched already. He can get to like 2,000, and if things really work out well for him. So I hope that happens. I really do, because Logan Webb's fun to watch, and he's a Raider fan too. So there's that. And then Hall of Great, Matt Chapman, 33.8 WAR, 813 hits, 163 homers, All-Star, 4-time Gold Glover, and 2-time Platinum Glove. Like, he's going to have some pretty good stats at the end. I just don't think it's going to be near enough to really get into a Hall of Fame spot. That's going to do it, though, for that segment. And question to you, Skyler, actually here.
Yeah.
Since we've already been going over an hour, should we move All-Star ballot to next week?
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. So we'll go over that next week. That way we don't have to bore you guys any longer there.
And some things can change too. So, yeah.
We'll go to the second half, though, with the NBA Finals.
Oh, yeah. So I mentioned it earlier. We're 2 games into the NBA Finals. Boston is up 2-0. And I have a couple bullet points. You just let me know whenever you want to chime in. I'm just going to go down the list here. We'll start off with Kristaps, because he had a crazy injury announcement today. Basically, the spot in between the Achilles and the plantar fascia in the foot was dislocated today. And you never want to do that. He's day-to-day because they don't really know how bad it is. It's like the Jones fracture in the foot, right? It's like, I don't need this bone. Can I play through it? I don't know. I'm going to try. What does a doctor say? We don't know yet. Yeah, you're right. It's the tendon.
Yeah.
But yeah. So far, the hero for the series, I got to say, it's been Drew Holiday. He's been giving Kyrie such a difficult time out there. Brown and Tatum haven't shot that much, but they haven't had to yet. Brown's IQ, Tatum's strength, they've been getting it done on both ends for them, so they haven't had to worry about it. Tatum, though, I have my concerns about his efficiency, decision-making, but it sounds like Dallas has a bunch of problems of their own, including this is the worst I've seen Luka play in a long time. Obviously still at a high level, still competing out there compared to what Kyrie's been doing, but it's not necessarily those two's fault. They had good series against Minnesota. That doesn't necessarily mean you can get it done in the finals. And at the end of the day, great teams will always beat the great individuals. And it looks like that's going to happen once again in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I agree with pretty much everything you said. It's just at 2-0, it feels like this. I don't know at this point.
Well, all right. I still like Boston in 5. I think Dallas could sneak one. Also wouldn't be shocked with a sweep.
Yeah.
My Boston in 6 pick doesn't feel as good anymore. I felt like I made it a little bit too safe. But you never know. Things change where a team has a good,
game stretch at home.
Absolutely. Well, all right. You ready to talk about Omaha?
me pull up everything that we have here.
Yeah. Well,
You have the teams and everything.
I do have a bracket up just in
Gotcha.
case.
I'll let you go over that then.
Okay. Well, we made it, Kyle. It's the final 8. They're going to be playing in Omaha. We mentioned some of the games earlier. You mentioned Florida will be here too. So let's go over both of the sides of the bracket. First side, bracket 1, they call it. We got North Carolina. They're playing Virginia in their first game. And then we have Tennessee playing Florida State and another one. Wouldn't want to be on that side of the bracket, that's for sure, because bracket 2 has Kentucky. They did beat Oregon State, which was kind of shocking to us, but not improbable, right? They were the number 2 team in the nation playing at home. They're going to be playing NC State. They beat the snot out of Georgia in 2 out of those 3 games. Really shocked me. The other game there is going to be Texas A&M. Man, did you see that Montgomery injury? That was disgusting. There's no way I can pick Texas A&M after that. They're going to be playing Florida, so the dream season could continue for them. Again, it's double elimination. Just off the top of my head here, I think I'm going to take NC State to beat Florida State. That's my pick.
I will go Tennessee over Florida.
Again, that's another very interesting matchup. We got a lot of SEC, ACC, not just on Wednesdays on ESPN Plus. It's in Omaha now. So here we go. I'm excited for sure. The series, I guess the entire tournament, right, has been pretty awesome, other than a couple teams that we root for going down pretty early. But yeah, that's halftime.
Moving on to our layups and bold predictions. Last week was not great. We went 1 for 3 with a hope of 2 for 4 still being out there. I had Houston over St. Louis on Wednesday. That did not happen. Skyler had Baltimore over Tampa Bay on Friday. That did happen, so good there. This week I have Seattle over Chicago White Sox on Wednesday. That is a Bryce Miller start, I believe, versus Jonathan Gannon. That's all I need to say.
Yeah.
So give me Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to go with one. I was kind of surprised that Boston had such great odds, maybe because they're good at home this season. But I'm going to go with the Yankees to beat them at Fenway on Friday night. That's Luis Eel against Cooper Criswell. And, I just shouted out Luis Eel as a Hall of Fame monitor watch. So get it done for me again, man.
Bold prediction last week, I had the Celtics in 6. Still possible, I guess. Skyler had Seattle over Kansas City on Friday. It did not happen, unfortunately. This week, I chose Florida advancing past round 1. Obviously, I had them going a bit farther than round 1 in the prediction we just made. But getting past round 1, I think, would be a bold prediction.
Yeah, sure. That barely over 500 this year. And such an amazing story. I'm going to go back-to-back on baseball here. I'm going to have the Tigers winning on the road in Houston, also on Friday night. And the big one for me here was Jack Flaherty. If you saw that poll, they had him as one of the most overrated players in baseball. I think that may be more some guys were jealous he got the contract that some other guys were looking for. But he's going to take his revenge out on Houston, a team that we've been in favor of because they've had some bad odds. And it just has not been working. Obviously, you had that last week. So Detroit, Flaherty, go take down Hunter Brown. Yeah. Also Boston in 5.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, that's going to do it, though, for episode 176, not 76, 96.
Yeah.
Crazy. We are 4 episodes away from 200. Again, next week we will do that All-Star ballot. It just felt like this episode was getting a little bit too long. We will do our power rankings, of course.
Whoa.
We got that to do as well, too. And that's we'll do it unless you got some parting notes.
The train says goodbye. We'll be back for 197. Oh, really? Yeah. It is
like,
loud. It shakes my room. I thought for sure you would hear it. Well, that's awesome. Anyways, it still says goodbye. The train is rolling by, and we'll be back next Tuesday. Let's go, Ace. Let's go take down. Who's pitching again tonight? I know we got Sears.
Vasquez.
Yeah, let's go smack that dude around. We need that.
Starts in 10 minutes.
All right. Adios.
Later.